what's happening is that whole academic market is controlled by an academic guild. To publish your research, you must submit it to peer review, and the guild controls what gets published. I have a colleague who had a PhD in Fletcher Studies, is one of the world's leading international authorities on Fletcher, takes his book to one of these academic type publishers, and they demand that he rewrite certain sections of it because what he says doesn't agree with their agenda. And so this is all a sport for the academics to try to put a new twist on something, and it's a very narrow circle of scholars who all congratulate each other for getting a book in print. But typically these are very small press runs that are not read by anyone except their own peer group. Now, what has happened is that in Wesley Studies and in the printing of our classic material, you realize that many of the great classic Methodists that Brother Joe McPherson cited this afternoon, do you realize that much of that material is out of print? There's not a market for that type of literature. And the type of literature that's being printed today under the name of Wesley Studies, basically Wesley becomes a springboard for this particular author to advocate whatever position he holds. So Wesley becomes whatever the author wants him to be. So in Wesley Studies today, John Wesley is now equated with process philosophy, with feminism, with the liberal theological agenda, and with an errant Bible. And so we have the uphill battle of trying to refute that, but we have no printing press. We have no communication tool to meet them at that level. That's why Fundamental Wesleyan Publishers was formed in 1991 to actually print material that would contend for and explain our own doctrinal positions. From that time until now, we've published 21 titles. Some are out of print, but most of what's in print is here on display at this table. We have 3 more books in the pipeline. A year from now, I hope to have 3 more books on the table than what we have now. It was in the year 2012 that we signed an agreement with Light of Life Ministries to co-publish their titles. And if you look at Jim's display, and I hope you will look at this is a tremendous ministry that he'll tell you about in a moment. But when you open those books, you'll see that they are co-published. See, we're a very little player. He's a very small ministry. But together, we're trying to partnership to do something that will advance this whole agenda. And so what has happened with us picking up their titles, it has given us more titles in print, which has boosted our visibility as a publisher of Wesleyan Arminian material. We're not in it for competition, we're not even in it for money, but we're trying to fill a void. And some of you may know this, but some of you may not be aware that one of the largest publishers of Wesleyan Arminian material is Nazarene Publishing House. I have not been happy recently with everything they've printed, but I am not happy that they are closing as of December 1st of this year. Put that as one piece to the bigger puzzle that I'm trying to lay out before you. Our problem originally was that the evangelical publishing market was predominated by people of a different persuasion. I have been frustrated that some who appointed themselves to articulate our position has misrepresented it. But we are at a real point of void right now, and so what is happening as the market and the interest in publishing sound Wesleyan Arminian material is shrinking, we need to step into that vacuum because we have a message that needs to go to the whole world. So what we are doing now is partnering with Cornerstone Foundation. That's the group that paid for your meal tonight. But Cornerstone Foundation is primarily a counseling ministry, a teaching ministry, an evangelistic ministry, but they started out as a publishing ministry, and they are now going back to their original roots, and we are forming a subsidiary of Cornerstone Foundation called Cornerstone Communication. This particular imprint will specialize in producing evangelically sound material written for the serious layperson within the church. Our productions will be adequately researched. They'll be based on solid exegesis, but they will never parade academic knowledge just for the purpose of impressing the reader. The focus of every publication will be a practical application. We will not delve into historical or systematic theology. We will not chase the etymology of Hebrew or Greek vocabulary unless there's a very practical application. And only then will these matters be discussed in non-technical language. Our desire is not to be divisive or controversial, but neither will we shy away from confronting heresy in the contemporary church. Dr. Eddie Beaver will function as the CEO, Dr. James Brown, Dr. Steve Stanley will be on the editorial board of review. I will serve as the general editor. And let me just explain that I'm so passionate about this ministry of printing sound material that I function in some equivalency as the general editor for 3 different publications. And I'll explain it to you like this. There was an editor one time who got lost in darkened Africa 100 years ago and was taken before a cannibalistic tribe and his chieftain, and soon realized that his fate was that he would be cooked and eaten. And so in his last defense, he explained to the chief, "You don't understand. I'm an editor." To which the chief replied, "You don't understand. Tomorrow you be editor-in-chief." Well, it really wasn't that funny, but I appreciate your laughter anyway. We are already formulating, I was on the phone yesterday talking with a graphic artist designer who is formulating a book called Basics for Believers, and it may be set up in this format, you know, the topic for dummies, like the Bible for dummies, every subject, a book for dummies, kind of an introduction volume. We are looking to produce that as a discipleship resource. Now what's going to happen is with Cornerstone Communication, we will be implicitly Wesleyan,